Hi, everyone. Harry here to talk about the very dangerous, very intemperate, very out of line criticism by Vice President J.D. Vance and mini-me Elon Musk about the effrontery of a federal court in entering an order temporarily enjoining Musk from ransacking the privacy data of the payment system in the Treasury Department. Okay, let's just start with how worrisome the actual conduct is. Musk is a complete unofficial actor. So there seems to be no way to rein him in. We don't know what his status is. At Trump's demand, he was given access to hypersensitive payment systems that could, A, wreak havoc with the payment of people across the government. And we know that he is helped by six basically kids in their young 20s, one of whom already has been dismissed. And second, gives him access to all kinds of valuable information that he could use personally to exploit because of his very large holdings with other governments. Let's just start with China and Russia. Okay, so the basic notion that this ought to be considered by a federal judge is so normal, routine, uncontroversial. What the judge, Paul Engelmeyer in New York, and let me add my personal endorsement. I clerked with Paul Engelmeyer. I've known him for 35 years. He is rock solid, very smart, very law-abiding, completely an impeccable judge. He has said, hey, guess what? No, if you don't have background checks and security clearances, you really just perhaps shouldn't be assessing all this very sensitive information. So in order to decide that, I'm first going to prevent any harm from occurring by having a temporary injunction, and then we will move to decide whether that injunction should be permanent. It is a completely routine thing to do. And indeed, it's happening all over the country because of different legally dubious orders by Trump. But this one is much more far-reaching, potentially more damaging. So 19 Democratic state attorneys general have come in to challenge this, saying, they've crossed legal boundaries. You can't just give legal access to all these folks. That definitely burns Elon Musk pretty good. Of course, he knows zero, maybe less than zero about the law and the system. He just tweeted out this morning, 1% of federal judges ought to be eliminated every year. There is life tenure in the Constitution. The guy is, constitutionally and legally a moron. And that he has this kind of access and influence and ability to make mischief is a huge problem, leaving aside the legal aspects of it. But now let's go to the legal aspects, because now it gets really, really precarious. You have Vance, a graduate of Yale Law School. He's got to know better, basically saying judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power. Not at all sure what he means by that, but if legitimate means lawful, okay, fine. But that's the question. Was there legitimate power exercised here? And this is basically the first strong pushback. There have been others, but this is one going to Elon Musk. Completely funky and constitutionally anomalous exercise of power in the early weeks of the Trump administration. No idea where it's going and how it's going to be held accountable. But in any event, the notion that it's legally suspect and could do real harm is impossible to disagree with. So when he comes out of the box and says, judges aren't allowed to control the executive's legitimate power, the air is acrid with the prospect of the ultimate constitutional crisis that we have avoided we've never actually gotten to, and we've never gotten even very close to for 150 years or more, but they are very much setting the stage for actually disobeying the orders of the court. If something like this that is so clearly controversial, new groundbreaking, and generally damaging or potentially harmful to individuals and our national interests, if something like that wouldn't be subject to a court order to consider it, well, then the notion is that the executive is just a tyrant. Bringing this out and saying you're not able to even consider it, that's cracked. And this is exactly what the framers of the Constitution warned us about in several Federalist Papers, especially 78. But we are now really careening toward the ultimate constitutional crisis. Trump has been president for 3 weeks, and if you get to the point where he just says, sorry, you've made your order, but we're not listening to it, we are in huge kind of lockdown constitutional crisis territory. So for Vance to say this kind of crap, which he knows is absolutely bankrupt, is really contemptible, but also dangerous. What move is left before they do the ultimate, just plunging us into the kind of crisis from which we emerge either as a democracy, slapping down Vance and Trump, or as an authoritarian society where the maximum leader just disobeys the orders of the court and simply makes mincemeat or wood chippings, to use Elon Musk's term that he boasted about what he did to the USAID, of the rule of law. It is we're a step or two away from a really grave crisis. And the reason we are there is because J.D. Vance has come out of the box with this kind of statement suggesting that maybe they won't pay attention. Something no president, right? Presidents, Eisenhower didn't like the Little Rock decision, but of course he complied. Presidents after presidents after presidents comply with the courts. And if they don't, we don't have a constitutional system. And I hear the alarm in my own voice as I'm talking, but there's no doubt that is what Vance is serving up as a prospect. And there's no doubt I'm here to tell you that if we reach that point, we are at the absolute precipice of a steep cliff where we haven't been for any of our lifetimes. Very, very ominous development. Keep a close eye on what they say about the courts, and if they move in that direction, man, oh man, it's just not even clear with the cowed Republican Senate and the other institutions not coming through, what happens other than the popular protest and taking to the streets. That is not the way the rule of law is supposed to work. Talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and other Talking Feds content, please take a second to like and subscribe. Talk to you later.